Ronald Lamy here with Experts in Power, where we bring you experts to help you answer some of your questions. And today we got Christy Moore. She is the manager at Carolina Property Insurance and licensed agent. How are you doing today, Christy?
Good, how are you?
Good. Anything you did exciting this morning? Anything that you did before you came here?
Bundled up to stay warm.
Yep. It's getting cold out there.
Yeah.
So we are so excited to have her here with us. She's an expert in insurance, and a lot of our viewers and a lot of our audience, they have a lot of questions about what to do with the homeowners insurance and all that. So where are you from, Christy?
Originally, I'm from Maryland.
From Maryland. How long you been here in this area?
In Myrtle Beach since 2001.
2001, wow. So how was the transition from coming from Maryland? How was growing up out there in the transition moving out here?
I actually grew up kind of in a farm area. So the transition was interesting. We go from farm and slow pace to in buggies,
Sure.
horse and buggy in the middle of the road. And then here it's just fast pace, getting to be a little bit of a city life here now.
Right.
So the transition, it's been an easy transition for me just because I love the beach so much.
Sure. So since you started, I'm sure you have seen a lot of the growth and a lot of the changes that have been happening in Myrtle Beach.
Yes, the economy is booming for sure, keeping us busy
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
insurance side.
Absolutely. So what were you doing here when you first came here? How do you started out here in Myrtle Beach?
Well, when I moved here, I was 15. So I just when I moved here, I got a job and worked a little bit. Ended up finishing my education and then going to college. And then
So you went to Coastal?
I went to Horry Georgetown.
Georgetown, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually have a degree in science.
Science, oh wow. So what made you choose that?
Passion for helping people. I had my twins. I have twin 3-year-olds, so I had them 3 years ago. And at the time, I wasn't able to go back just because they were born a little bit early and we had some complications. So when I was able to go back to work, I thought about doing real estate. And I had a friend who was in the real estate market, and I reached out to him, and he said, no, the real estate market is saturated. You want to sell insurance. And I thought to myself, and I did some research, and insurance was more interesting than what I thought it would be in a good way.
Sure.
And I could still help people throughout their lives. And so I decided that I was going to do insurance.
Insurance, wow. Yeah, so that was perfect transition, from your career, like what you chose as
Yes.
for school, and then just helping people on this industry, because I guess a lot of people needs a lot of help on this industry.
Yes,
it's
and everybody
not an
needs
easy
insurance.
subject, and it's a lot of complicated things and questions that arise being a homeowner, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So what were some of the biggest fears that you had, coming into this career before you took that leap of faith into this industry?
I guess experience, because I did not have any experience in insurance, but after I got licensed in the state of South Carolina, because you have to have a license, I was able to partner up with a carrier by the name of Gulfstream. They were my first carrier that appointed me, and they helped train me, I guess, how to properly write insurance and keep everything. And I think they actually audited me my first 3 months of being open. I was audited, which I thought was interesting, but I passed. Needless to say, we did pass.
So what's it like? Why would they audit you? Tell us a little bit about why would somebody, an insurance agent, get audited?
Yeah, every insurance company gets audited. There are certain things that you have to keep and carry and do for every policy, and if you don't do that, you do get in trouble. So on every home, we do a replacement cost estimator to make sure that your dwelling is insured for the correct amount. So that has to be done on every policy.
Keeping you straight, right?
Yeah, and we have to have proof that we did that.
Sure.
And it looks at the inside and outside, how much wood, that plays, the height of your ceiling, everything plays a role in that. Applications, we have to make sure that the client signed their application.
Sure.
The correct clients sign the application within the appropriate amount of time. There's so many things that go in. I could spend a lot of time,
Right.
but we do get, there are audits.
I can imagine that you managed to pass that within 3 months of starting out.
Yeah.
That's
And
very
it
impressive.
opened-
I mean, I
yeah.
would say because, I mean, just the amount, I mean, just us dealing, we are roofing contractors, and the amount of paperwork and things that we deal as far as, insurance claims and all that, and for you to go, 3 months in and be able to pass that says a lot about you guys and how you guys keep, organized and keep everything straight, all your records straight. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
We were trained by the insurance company, so I think I have a little bit more advantage than somebody who's trained by another agent. I was actually trained by the carrier, so I know what they need and what they expect of me.
You were saying that about, how you had a mentor from Gulfstream that helped you out.
Yes.
So how was that? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like what would be your best advice, as far as having a mentor, how they can help you?
Me mentoring somebody, my best advice to them?
Oh, yeah, you mentoring, or how did you feel when you had you have your mentor helping you through all this process?
Well, it was a little scary, but there's no bad question. So as long as you're continuously asking questions, and you're following the guidelines appropriately, it gets easier. So it was a little scary in the beginning, but everything you just learn as you go, and you just make sure that you're soaking everything in and just follow guidelines and we follow everything by the books.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you have to do it in this industry. There's so many legalities, right? So how was the evolution since you started out, on your business 2 years ago, and then having in 3 months after that you had an audit and everything, and I'm sure you had a lot of things to do until now. So how is that evolution? Tell us about the business now.
The business is growing a lot more. We're just continuously taking new clients, and now that we have been open, our second year, we have a lot of renewals that are coming in, and with the renewals, it's forever changing. It's becoming more complex and complex because in life, you may put a new roof on your home. That may lower your insurance. You might buy a dog. You might have kids in life.
All this constant changes.
Yeah, so it's constantly changing. Things are constantly getting more complex. But it's a good thing. Growth is continuously great. We're still thriving for, our passion is customer service, just making sure that our customers are satisfied, and we can continue that.
Sure. So yeah, I'm sure that's the backbone of your business, is that having that solid customer service and being able to explain that product to your clients. All right, awesome. So what do you think it makes you qualified right now, uniquely qualified to discuss this subject right now?
Well, I'm a licensed agent in South Carolina, so you do have to get your license. You have to pass the state exam. Nobody can just become an agent. There are tests in place.
Sure, and I'm sure by helping all the homeowners and building up the experience, that has led you to become more of an expert.
Yes.
On the field.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So, what are your plans for 2020? I mean, we got the new year coming up. Do you have any plans? I mean, are you gonna go somewhere out of town, or you?
No, we're not going out of town. We may stay up late with the kids.
Okay.
Keep our 3-year-olds up till midnight and watch the ball drop. May be interesting.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But business growth, for 2020, we're just going to continue to grow business. And a goal for us as an insurance agency is just to being able to continuously serve our clients. So like I said, things are forever changing. We just want to make sure that the policy still matches their needs as our clients grow as individuals and families, that we can continue to provide them with the right insurance.
Sure, that's very important. That's a great plan. So now we're getting into the tips that we can give our viewers. I'm sure a lot of homeowners they have a lot of questions as far as what kind of policies, and us as a roofing company, we deal a lot with all these questions, and we've seen that a lot of the homeowners, when we go and meet them, they have no clue if what kind of policies they have, So I'm sure maybe some of the agents they didn't do a good job explaining some of these things. I don't know if that could be it, but I'm sure also the policies are very complex. But let's get into that. Let's talk about some of the tips that you might have for the homeowners. Let's start out with the first tip. Maybe buying a home.
Yeah. So whenever you're buying a home, you want to make sure that you look over that inspection report. And even if you see something that you think might not be on that inspection report, say something to somebody, say something to the owners, say something to your realtor, and see if there's some kind of compensation that you can get to fix it, or if you can fix it as soon as you move in, do so. But my tip to them is, if you see something, ask about it.
Say something.
Yes, say something.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And then I believe that, I'm sure a lot of homeowners that move into these new homes, if they don't have a background in construction, they might not know a lot of the things. But I guess on our experience, a lot of the biggest part of the house is obviously the roof and the siding. Absolutely. What would you recommend somebody is buying a new home, and also, they don't know what kind of shape the roof has? Would you recommend them to get because that's the biggest expense, I guess. Yeah. Would you recommend them to get a report and an inspection from a roofing contractor?
I would, absolutely. And we do recommend contractors as well.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Okay,
I run me personally, I run a referral business out of my office at 7:30.
Sure.
Every Tuesday, and we have a lot of partners.
Okay, good.
So we have a lot of connections with people that we can help.
Sure.
Our clients pretty much in whatever situation is unique to them, whether it's roofing, siding, flooring.
Yeah, especially one of the biggest things that we find in this industry as remodelers and helping with storms and all that is it's a lot of people that comes with the wrong reasons, for the wrong reasons, into the business, and they fly by nights.
Yeah.
How would you weed those out? What's your criteria to choose these contractors to be able to join your network?
We actually do a little bit of background research on themselves. So we just check, make sure that they're rated good with the Better Business Bureau. We check their Google reviews. We even go into their social media accounts and just kind of read through their reviews, and if we can see pictures of any kind of work that they've done, just to make sure that they
have a proven record.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And then whichever person or whoever is representing that company will also do a
represent them well.
Background research on as well.
All right, so back to some of those tips again too. What would you tell the viewers, our viewers, and our listeners about what to do before a storm and after a storm? Let's start with before a storm. What you hear in the news is a storm brewing out there in the ocean. It seems like it's coming. Would you recommend them to act right then, or just what's the process before a storm?
You always want to be prepared for a storm, especially living here. We are on the coast. We get hurricanes yearly. I would say just expect to get one every year.
Sure.
That's how it's been since I've lived here in 2001. But the tips that I can say to my clients is just go ahead and get an inspection done. Before storm season, just make sure that everything is secure. And then once you do hear that there is a storm out there and it may be heading our way, or not, or you think it may head your way, just go ahead. You can start preparing sandbags if you need to. Just doing last minute preparations to make sure that your house is secure.
Sure.
Whether it's, putting up your shutters, having shutters installed, whatever preparations. Some people will have plywood. You can go ahead and put up plywood. You just want to minimize the risk of damage to your home when that storm gets here.
Sure. So what type of inspection would you recommend them? Okay, let's say I'm a homeowner, right? I'm in this house. I just bought the house, let's say 2 years ago. I already had my inspection. Everything sounded like it was okay, it was pretty good. But now I want to just stay on top of the maintenance of my home and stay on top of obviously minimizing the damages and in a future storm. What type of inspections would you recommend? Who would should they call?
Well, depending on, if I would always trust a licensed roofing company. Um, Roof is such a huge risk of your home. I mean, that protects everything. So definitely make sure that you're getting an inspection done by a licensed roofing company for sure. And with, like your vinyl siding, you want to make sure that that's secure as well. There are local companies that you can call that can come out and just kind of do almost like the same inspection that you had when you purchased the home on the exterior, just to make sure that everything is, is
Sure. So would you say like roofing, siding, what else? Anything on the landscape or anything else?
Well, your landscape to prepare, you want to make sure that everything is tied down or put away.
Okay.
Vinyl siding comes off and is going to become a projectile object. So if you notice that you do have one loose, if you want to go ahead and remove it, that's fine. Because it's going to more likely become a projectile object and could.
Sure. And then I have, just talking to Gulfstream with the agent of Gulfstream, I know she mentioned something about maybe being able to update your home for this type of conditions that might come eventually, such as impact windows, like storm windows. Tell us a little bit about that preparation as far as, if people feel like, well, they don't want to put the shutters anymore, they're too complicated. There's certain products out there that they can use.
Yeah, there are some companies here that can come in and give you some quotes on getting getting the hurricane
Proof windows.
Windows, yeah.
Windows.
Absolutely. And then you have the shutters too. There are people here that do the hurricane shutters, but you just want to make sure that when you are picking these companies that you see their ratings.
Sure.
You want proof that those are hurricane rated in the state of South Carolina.
Sure.
Because every state will have different guidelines.
Right.
So you just want to make sure that these follow the South Carolina.
Sure. Mm-hmm. and the company as well.
Absolutely.
Sure. Now, another thing too, as far as storms, like as far as policies, how should people get ready with their policies? Because I'm sure that, not only getting their home ready, but I mean, their policy is going to be a big thing, right? So how do people get ready for a storm when it comes to policies, their policy?
Just make sure that that you have pictures of the inside and outside of your home already. If you have purchased something new or done something to your home, such as putting on a new roof, go ahead and take new pictures and just keep them somewhere safe. Or if you want to send them to me, that's fine. At my agency, I can put them in your file for you. That way we have them on hand. If you should need a claim, we have proof of what you had before.
Sure.
So, photos
is a big thing. So have the before and after pictures, probably, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big thing for us. Obviously, we want to keep track, and anything commercial properties that we do, and we do some residential maintenance too, where we keep track of the pictures and how was the property maintained before the storm hit and then after. So obviously, there's no discrepancies when submitting these claims, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Now, all right. So, tell me a little bit about like the different type of policies. What was some of the most popular policies? Is that a good question to ask?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, everybody has a different need. There's not two alike clients. We all have different things in our life. We all go through different things. We have families. But our typical, I would say, policy we sell the most of is our homeowner's insurance. It's called an HO3. And then you've got, your HO3 is for your standard homeowner that just purchases a home that meets all the eligibility guidelines. In a perfect world, they would be our HO3 product.
Uh-huh.
And then there's an HO6. So if somebody is buying a condo or a townhome that has a master policy that insures the outside of the dwelling, you can purchase the HO6, which is kind of like a contents policy. However, it does cover some of the inside, just in case they don't cover the HOA or the master policy doesn't cover, your drywall and your sheetrock and the paint. You'll have coverage for that too. You have your renter's policies, which is called your HO4. So that's kind of, you still get your liability that you can with the homeowners, the HO3 and the HO6, that is tailored more towards your contents of the home.
Okay.
Then you have dwelling fire policies, which is like your DP Our most popular is a DP3. So you can exclude more things, like if they have something that's ineligible, you can exclude that. That way they are eligible still for an insurance product. You can tailor it more towards their needs if they don't have a lot of personal property.
Sure.
If there's a rental, we would do a DP3 too, and you're just able to exclude more things.
So that's great to know. So if I'm a renter, I can protect my things inside of this property, right? They're not going to protect the property unless that might be in their contract, or not really. That the homeowner should have insurance on the home, and then the renter on their own stuff, right?
Yeah, so you definitely want to make sure, if you're an owner, if you own property, you want to make sure that your policy has enough liability for you, and then you want your renter to get another renter's policy themselves that covers their stuff.
I understand. What about, tell us a little bit about the flood policies. How do they work, and who should get it, and where the people located in certain areas, where should who should get it?
Every coastal county, and we're coastal, should have flood.
So would you recommend from all the way from the ocean front to how far inland?
Well, for storm surge purposes, you definitely zone A. There's a thing about know your zone here in South Carolina. So you've got, your ABC. Definitely zone A, I would say. Just go ahead and, no questions asked, just go ahead and get flood insurance. If you're backed up to a waterway or any kind of retention pond, it's a good idea to go ahead and get flood insurance. A storm drain could get clogged, and you could get water rising.
Sure.
That way. But there are other, there are other things that are, not your typical flooding that you wouldn't be covered because it's considered water rising from the ground up. So let's say you have a main pipe outside of the home that breaks, and now that you have water coming inside of your home from that, that's flood.
Sure.
That wouldn't be covered under your standard homeowner's insurance policy.
So it's good for everybody too.
Good for everybody.
Right. I mean, that's one thing that you won't regret when that happens, right? That's
right
unfortunately
now, it's $482 for the year.
That's a great information right there. It's $482 divided 12. I mean, that obviously it is money to come out of pocket. It's more money on top of everything, but the amount of money that you have to come out of pocket versus when the damage is done and you're not covered. I mean, that's a big deal.
And $482, it covers $250,000 in dwelling coverage and $100,000 in contents.
Sure.
So it could be less depending on what your specific dwelling coverage amount need is. It could be less.
And I feel that a lot of homeowners out there, they might feel that that's an expensive addition to the policy, and it is not once you divide in 12 months. I mean, for what it's worth. I feel that
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
Sure.
But then when
I'm
you
sure
think
they're
about
surprised after they find out I just got all this damage, and now it was only $482, and now the damages are what, $10,000-$15,000?
At least.
At least. Yeah. And then it goes from there. I mean, it could be up to, if the water rises so way up, far up, and it gets you electricity, stuff at your home. I mean, it can be
could
like
be your hot water
$20,000.
It could be, some of your hot water heater. It could be your air conditioning unit.
Right.
Those are some expensive items that you're thinking about there. Not your personal belongings, and it happens.
Yeah.
We do see it a lot.
Tell us a little bit about the wind and hail policies.
Yeah. So, in the state of South Carolina, you are required to have wind and hail by your lender. Mm-hmm. So if you're purchasing a home, they're going to require you to have wind and hail, which a lot of people or hurricane, people that are moving here don't necessarily, are not knowledgeable on that. They just don't know.
Because they're moving from areas where they don't need it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So here you will need wind and hail, and it will probably be the most expensive portion of your policy. But at Carolina Property Insurance, it's included in every single policy we sell. We do not exclude wind and hail in our policies.
Sure. Now, as far as the deductibles, let's talk about deductibles. How does a deductible work? Like the named storm or a wind, let's say hail storm. What are the differences?
Well, it also depends on the carrier. Some carriers will have a true hurricane coverage, and then some carriers will offer a wind and hail deductible. So with wind and hail deductible, you're going to pay that deductible any time of the year. If there's a wind and hail storm, that's the deductible you're paying. With other carriers, if it's a true hurricane deductible, name storm, you're going to pay that during a name storm.
Just on that time.
Yes.
So coming out of pocket, because I feel that a lot of our clients, they get this big surprise when they feel that a name storm came through versus what are the difference on the deductibles and prices, let's say.
Yeah.
Would it be significantly higher having a name storm deductible?
They are a little bit more expensive, or they can be. It just depends. Depends
on your policy.
Yeah, well, every home is unique. So typically what we do on the insurance side is we run your home through multiple carriers because we're an independent agency. So you get multiple quotes, and we find you the best one for the best price and your specific need. And they're all different, so we'll give you some options, and then we allow you to choose which one. Now, something that I like to do, and I tell my agency to do, is if we're quoting somebody, if the home is over $200,000, it's a 1% hurricane, and if that's what we quote them out. Now, if they talk to us and they want to increase it, decrease it,
is that the minimum 1%?
With some carriers, yes.
Yeah. Is there any other level, like higher, like better than 1%?
No.
No.
Well,
Okay.
with some carriers, it just depends.
It depends. Okay.
Yeah, it all depends on each carrier is different.
Sure.
So you have to find that home's
specific
perfect
needs.
match.
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Typically, 1% is the best.
This is what you see. Yeah. That's one of the best options out
and
there.
that's 1% of the dwelling coverage. So if your replacement cost estimator came in at $300,000, then your 1% is going to be $3,000.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's really good for that. What's the most that you've seen? Like, okay, best 1%, and what's like,
I've seen some people at 5%.
5%. Wow, that's because we've seen that when our clients get that surprise. Well, everything got ripped off. I mean, everything is $40,000, maybe $50,000 to repair, your roof and a couple of things, and that's their deductible. So that's a big surprise.
Yeah, I've seen it. A lot of the national carriers, and I'm not going to go into details,
Sure.
but some of the national carriers I see put a 5% here on our coast because
right, they don't want to take a chance.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, so the storm came, it hit us. Now, what should they do? Give us some tips on what should our audience should start doing. Like the minute that hits, what's the next step?
Well, the minute it hits, you just want to seek shelter, and then after the storm passes, you want to start assessing the damage. And then if you see something that's pouring into your roof, water coming in, go ahead and try to tarp it, or give us a call. And if some companies will actually come out and tarp your roof during a storm, and some will not. So if you can get somebody to come out and tarp it, I would say do anything that you can to minimize the damage that is being done.
To mitigate the damage. That's on the homeowner's responsibility. The policyholder's responsibility is to stop that water
to stop the damage. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So all right. So they see the water coming through. Call the let's say a roofing contractor, or if the water is broke off from somewhere, just try to get a restoration contractor to stop keep the water from spreading and keep damaging stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever damage that you have, and you can always, what I tell my clients is just go ahead and give us a call after you assess the damage and see what's going on. And we have people that we can call that can come out and help our clients. And
that's great. That's a great service, because
it is.
When I'm a homeowner, and some of my family are homeowners, and when those storms hit, your life becomes chaotic. If you see all this damage,
absolutely,
all your precious things that you have collected throughout the years, and now everything is chaos, and not having a guidance, like somebody that can guide you, because I feel sometimes maybe so you can buy a policy and you can call this and they send you maybe a 1-800 number. And I think that's very frustrating, especially when you're dealing with a catastrophe like that.
Yeah.
So be able to have a network behind you, I think that's a big advantage for you and your clients to be able to say, hey, listen, we're part of this special group of people that they will take care of our clients and put them ahead of the list.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And we have people that when we call them, that they will put our clients
Sure.
in front. That way they can, make sure that.
And that's one of the services that we do. Is obviously we work with agents like yourself. Obviously, we chose the best agents ourselves to make sure that they provide the best customer service. We obsess with customer service, so we want to make sure that we choose the right person that's going to have the best service for this client. And what we do is we put them as a priority, their clients. We try to get there within the first 24 hours or try to come out there and mitigate the damage, obviously depending on the weather.
Yeah.
But, it's good to have that as a priority, put that for your clients, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it makes us stand out a little bit.
Sure.
For sure. Because customer service is so important. And, if these clients, this is like the worst time of their life. And if you're not there for them, then what kind of agent are you?
Right. Yeah, you have to, if you were good enough to sell the policy, now you got to be good enough to stand for what you sold and help them through, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just about making that quick money and they just shy away from it. Now, tell us a little bit about health tips. Like, we see that's some of the things that we deal with. And we have a lot of questions on, hail damage. What would you say if you see hail hitting your home? What would you recommend the homeowners?
Stay inside. If there's any kind of hail damage, stay inside until you know that the hail is over with. Don't attempt to go outside and assess the damage until you're for sure.
Sure.
And then don't attempt to go on the roof yourself because it may not be stable. Just go ahead and call your insurance agent, me, or call somebody to come out and just take a look at your roof.
Sure.
And assess the damage. Don't let somebody that's and another thing, this is what is a little bit more complicated for us because people move here and they don't know anyone.
Sure.
So you get these companies that are just driving by.
Fly-by-night companies.
Yes, and
sure.
They unfortunately can take your money.
Oh, absolutely.
So just go ahead and.
We hear horrific stories.
Yeah.
Sometimes out there that we feel so bad. We try to help out as much as we can, but some of these people has no morals.
Yeah. So just go ahead and call your agent. We're your first line of, not first, but we're one of your lines of defense.
Sure.
We have contacts. Just go ahead and call us, and we can get you some reputable companies.
Sure. Another thing too that we find when these hailstorms happen, because it's not like a windstorm or a hurricane where chunks of your roof are coming off. A hailstorm, pretty much they come in, they hit the roof, hit your home, but there's nothing falling apart. They can visually see from the bottom. Should they be concerned about what happened on the roof? Is it of a concern, a small hailstorm that hit your home, and you should have it inspected? Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any kind of damage to your home, you want to have inspected because that's once the integrity of your roof is compromised,
sure.
Then you can get damage to the inside of your home, and you don't want that.
Sure. Now, how does it work as far as, let's say the homeowner said, well, my roof is fine, nothing's going on, I'm not even going to check up on that. Would that affect eventually his insurance policy?
Yes.
Can they have a cancellation for not
neglect.
Taking care of the neglect?
Mm-hmm.
So neglect is a big thing, right? So
yeah, in your contract you sign that that you're going to take care of your home. So if it gets damaged and you don't
inspect it or fix it,
keep it. Yeah, then when you do go to make a claim, you could just be canceled and your
if you took too long
not paid out.
Sure. Now, is there a typical period of time that they have to submit a claim after a storm happened, or
I always tell people immediately.
immediately?
Don't wait.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sure. But is there any time limit?
Each carrier is different.
Sure. So
So-
just find out your times.
Yeah, you can contact your agent.
Sure.
And they can go into the guidelines and see what the time frame is for.
Sure. Now, as far as dealing with hail damage, right? Let's go back again to hail damage. The reason why an insurance company will pay for that is because it deteriorates your roof, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's the major risk of your home. Most insurance carriers, like that's their main concern is your roof. They want your roof up to date. They want it, they want to keep your roof intact.
right. So that's the reason why they're willing to come out of pocket. I mean, obviously you're paying for that policy, but
Yeah.
they're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure the home is prepared for future storms
Yeah.
and to weather the storms. I mean, the roof, and obviously the siding too as well, because it can't get damaged.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, that's great tips right there for our audience. I think that I had a lot of questions, on some of these things about policies, and so I getting a more clear vision of all this. So how is to be a mother of two twins and handling business, being taking that role, that responsibility as a manager?
Yeah, my twins are completely different. Like their personalities and their needs are complete opposite of each other. And that's the same thing that I see in my work life as well. Nobody is the same. Everybody's different. So I'm used to, trying to multitask and fit the needs of everyone in my life, and it's always busy.
Sure. So I help you with your skills, like better up your skills.
Yeah,
to be able to multitask.
I'm always
and
ready to go. I'm always
to
like
go.
something's gonna be. Yeah, I'm always ready.
Well, that's an amazing skill to have. One question that we ask at the end of our podcast here is, if you could talk to that young Christy, what would you tell her? What advice would you tell her? And this is also maybe for future agents that might be looking to go into your field. What would you advise your own self when you're a young Christy?
My young self did not ask as many questions in life, and my tip to them is just ask as many questions as possible, and it's the tips that I tell my clients as well. There's no bad question. Just ask as many questions away so you can become as knowledgeable as possible, because if you don't ask, then you're not going to know.
Yeah, knowledge is power, right?
Knowledge is power. In the insurance world, you cannot assume. There is
Sure.
no assuming.
Right.
So better get used to asking questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's one of the best advices you ever had that you feel that it made an impact in your life?
Best advice I ever had was probably don't go into real estate, go into insurance.
Wow. So that was your call.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That was good. That's great. You found a passion for it, and a way to like you say, help people.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, that was Christy here with us, and I will thank you so much for coming, and it was a lovely time with you.
Thank you for having me. And anytime that you guys have any questions, or if you want me to come back on and ask other questions,
Sure,
please
absolutely.
feel free to let me know.
Absolutely. I think that once our audience start listening to our podcast and watching our video too as well, I think they might have some questions. So yeah, we would love to have you. It was great to meet you.
Yeah.
Thank
Pleasure.
you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.